Welcome back to Curious Crossroads. I'm Doug. This is my son, Doug. We are the Dougs, and we are excited to be here in the studio today because today is our special edition Vegas episode. Doug just got back from Vegas.
Bachelor Party.
Bachelor Party.
My Bachelor Party.
And we're going to have some of we're not going to see everything, but we're going to see the legal stuff that went on when you were in Vegas with all your buddies. Sounded like a good group, and we'll see some of the activities that are now available in Las Vegas. We also have, and you're going to want to stick around for this, because we put together, since it's the special Vegas edition, back in the 70s, 80s, when the mob ran Vegas, supposedly, there were some pretty cool hotels. The Desert Inn, the Sahara, the Dunes, the Landmark, all gone now. And we're going to take a look at those hotels and also the demolition of every one of those hotels that went down to make way for New Vegas.
Yeah, I like Old Vegas. After doing a little research on it too, I put together a little slideshow, but Old Vegas looked pretty cool. Like, it was more classy. It was more authentic. This Vegas is cool too. Like, the one that I just went to is cool. It just feels way more corporate. It feels like Old Vegas is like Goodfellas if you're comparing it to a movie.
Exactly.
And then New Vegas is like Marvel, The Avengers, lights. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel as authentic. It's still great. It's still exciting, but it's not the same classiness as what it seemed like Old Vegas was.
My first trip to Old Vegas was back in 1981. That still had all the old hotels. And I had just graduated from college, and I had told myself that as a gift, I would gift myself a round-trip ticket to Las Vegas.
So you just went by yourself?
Went all by myself. Well, here was my thought process. I had been involved in a Friday night game, poker, for quite a while, with some highly skilled people, and they included my grandma, my mom, my dad, my friends, and I would, more often than not, walk away with $50, $60 a head.
Whoa.
So I thought that I knew what gambling was all about. So I graduated from college, got that round trip ticket all by myself to Vegas, which was kind of crazy in itself. But nonetheless, I was going there to work. I wasn't going to play. I was going to win a small fortune. So I got to Vegas, got to my hotel, not quite a 5-star hotel. Didn't even have a casino. I remember what it did have.
What was the name of the casino?
I can't even remember. It wasn't a casino. It was just a hotel. It might have been a motel, but it was a little off the strip. The one redeeming quality that it did have, I remember once you got through the little entryway, it had a chocolate fountain.
Fondue.
This obviously was pre-COVID, because you would take a toothpick and they had assorted cantaloupe, bananas, strawberries, and you would take a toothpick and then you would hold it under the chocolate fountain and you'd have a little chocolate dessert that you could eat.
You think you'd remember the name of it if you heard it? Be kind of interesting to look it up.
I can't think of what it was. Like I say, it was kind of a flea trap.
Off the wall.
It was kind of off the wall, just off the strip. But anyways, it was going to fill what I needed to get started in Vegas. I went up to my room, changed, got ready to go out. It was about 4 o'clock, and I was going to go to Bally's. Actually, I was going to Caesar's Palace, and I started to head to Caesar's Palace. I got onto the strip, walking, and I just remember that in between the two big hotels, the one that was leading up to Caesar's, there was a little strip mall. Obviously, it's gone now, but it was a little strip mall, and it had this little tiny casino. And I remember you could see this scantily clad waitress that was walking around inside, and they had about 7 tables, and I think it was called the Four Aces Casino. And for whatever reason, I went off my game plan, and instead of going to Caesar's, I ducked into that little hole-in-the-wall casino. Again, I think it was called Four Aces. Sat down at a table and put out my $20, and I think I got it up to like $60 or $80, so I'm feeling pretty good in that first half hour. But then something happened. I did not realize this, but drinks are free in Vegas. And they started plying me with alcohol. And at that time, obviously I've been sober for a long time now, but at that time I was drinking.
You were putting them down.
I was putting them down, and I started with beers. The scantily clad waitress learned my name right away.
Started like touching your leg every time she came up to give you a drink.
They made me feel at home, like I belonged at the Four Aces. And before long, I started doing a couple shots, and that was my demise.
I just think that's crazy. You're all alone. You just go there by yourself.
It gets worse because within probably an hour and a half, I had gotten so plastered, and I had lost my entire bankroll. I had brought just $400 to Vegas, and I lost everything. And I'm only there for maybe 2 hours, and I've got no money. I've got no credit card, nobody there to bum money from. It was a sad situation.
So I'm not a big gambler, but like, what is going through your head as you're like getting down? As you're like, okay, I'm down half. Okay, I'm down to like my last 100.
It just went so quick. It just went so quick. And like I say, I was a little drunk, probably more than a little drunk. I was inebriated, and it just was gone. And what I remember is being so depressed and walking back to that dingy hotel, and I was weeping a bit. I might have been sobbing or somewhere in between. And I got back to my room, and I just remember sitting on that bed in my underwear now and just thinking, what am I going to do for the next 4 days? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. My flight didn't leave until Sunday. And I'm just sitting there going, this is the worst thing in the world. And I remember looking down at the bed, and like I say, this wasn't a top-notch hotel. I remember looking down at the bed, and it had a little steel box that was attached to the head frame. And in that box, you would put quarters, and you would get a free massage.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah. I mean, the classy hotels didn't have them, but this one.
I feel like even when I was young, I remember they still had that stuff.
Really?
I think so.
I wasn't in too many hotels that had that, but I remember looking in there, and I could see all those quarters. And like you say, you drop one in, and the bed would give you a little bit of a shake, and but I could see all those quarters, and I thought, God, if I could just get in there. And I tried everything I could, and that thing was like Fort Knox. You could not. They obviously were used to people like me.
Were you drunk at that point too?
Oh, well, coming down.
Just the entire time?
Yeah, it was like, but I could not get into that box. So there went that idea. The only saving grace was most of the hotels offered a coupon book. You'd show that you were from out of state, and they'd give you this coupon book. And in that coupon book, normally was you could get a free hot dog or a free beer. Your first beer was on them. So that's basically how I survived for 4 days, was off of those coupon books. And that was my first Vegas visit, and it was a debacle. But I survived.
You're probably not the only one that needed that coupon book. That coupon book was probably created for people just like you.
I just remember a guy coming up to me,
dog.
A homeless guy coming up to me going, "Hey, you got a quarter you can spare?" And I'm just thinking, I got nothing.
Are you sure he didn't take a quarter and flip it to you?
No, I felt like
you're the homeless guy?
And I'm just trying to act like, and I just go, no, I really can't. And
then you're like, do you have anything?
It was terrible. Your first time to Vegas was...
I think it was
took you and Katie?
Yeah, I think it was like 13 or 12. And we stayed at the Excalibur, which is the family hotel in Vegas, which, going back this time too, I noticed that one is really starting to look dated compared to all the other ones. We got that implosion story coming up, but it's I think that's going to be the next one. Excalibur
was back when Vegas wanted to be really family oriented.
Yeah, I think it was the 70s or 80s that they built that. They were trying to get more families in, Right. They were moving from just the
I think it was towards
the
end of the 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. But I remember they had a little arcade downstairs that you could just drop your kid off, and then you could go gamble. And then we had the jousting show. They always had the jousting show, so you could have your tomato soup and a turkey leg and then watch them joust.
And that was pretty cool. The food was gross, but that was cool.
Yeah. But you were saying my first time in Vegas, we went to go see David Copperfield.
The magician.
like one of the biggest magicians of all time, illusionists.
Yep.
And some guy came up to me. I guess they were looking for like a 13-year-old kid. Some guy, manager or something of the show, came up to me. He's like, "Hey, do you want to be in the show
I
tonight?"
remember that.
And I was like, what do you call it? Like, nobody knew that I had an idea that I was in the show. You know what I mean?
Oh, right,
like
right.
I was.
You were a plant.
I was a plant. And they gave me these like.
I remember they moved our seats too.
They moved us
And this
up.
was before anybody had really showed up. We got there so early.
Yeah, I was like shy as hell. I was like, I don't want to do it. And you guys are like, we want to get better seats. You're going to do it.
And they moved us into great seats.
Yeah, and then they gave me these orange binoculars so that Copperfield could
see who the plant was.
Who the plant was. That's how they would know. So
Yep.
they gave me the orange binoculars. And then all of a sudden I realized, like, he calls me up. I have to, talk into the whole crowd. And then I'm like literally in the entire show. Like I have acts that I do. Like he calls me down like 4 or 5 times throughout this hour show.
You did a great job. I wish we would have had our phones back then to record.
Well,
that.
I wish they would have taken like a video or like given a video to whoever's in the show. That would have been nice.
Right.
But that was really cool. I just remember I was like, thought it was like famous after that.
That was a lot of fun. I remember you climbing a rock wall. Like you said, it was really family oriented. And everybody was rooting for you because you were just screaming up to the top of that.
Yeah, so I remember like when I went to Vegas, I was 13. That was like my favorite vacation I ever went on. Was to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it was.
It was a good time. Like I had a lot of fun.
One other story that comes to mind is I went to Trump Plaza back when Trump owned a casino. Everybody loved
Trump. There's still a Trump casino there.
Is there?
Yeah, it's called Trump. I don't know.
Is that in Vegas?
Yeah, they still have like a big gold hotel.
This one isn't. The Trump Plaza I'm talking about wasn't in Vegas. It was actually in Atlantic City, close enough. But we were in Atlantic City for what was billed as the fight of the ages. And it was between George Foreman, and Evander Holyfield. Back in 1991, my buddy Scott and I had flown out to Atlantic City with some other friends, and we were stoked because we were going to see two greats in the boxing world, Holyfield and Foreman, the battle of the ages. And if you recall, Foreman was 42 years old, which is normally a dinosaur in boxing. You have no chance when you're that old. But George had gone through 24 guys on his comeback trail. He was 24-0, and 23 of those were by knockout. Now, Holyfield, he was no bum either. He had just defeated James Buster Douglas. Does that name ring a bell? If you recall, he's the guy who knocked out the unbeatable Mike Tyson. So we had the makings here for a great fight, and it was a great fight, and I had great seats to watch it. It was a blast. In the end, Holyfield edged out Foreman to hold on to the title, but George walked away with $12.5 million for his effort. Almost everyone thought this would be Foreman's last chance at a heavyweight championship. But just 3 years later, he defeated Michael Moore to become the oldest heavyweight champion at the age of 45. It was such a cool fight, such a cool moment. And there's one more kind of cool thing that we can add on to that. Again, it was Trump Plaza, and Trump was putting on the fight. And everyone loved Trump at that point, whether you're Republican, Democrat. He had no real political affiliations. Everybody he wasn't on TV all the time or anything, but everybody knew that Trump was this billionaire, and he wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. So it was a Trump event. And I just remember me and my buddy Scott, we went out in the hallway. We were going to get a beer or some popcorn or whatever. And we were out in the hallway, and we looked down the one end of the hallway, and we could see here comes Trump, Donald Trump, and Marla Maples, his wife at that time, and his entourage, bunch of security guys. And I told my buddy Scott, I said, here, take my camera. And they weren't phones then, they were the old Kodak type thing. I said, take my camera, and you go down to the other end of the hallway and get this picture. You're going to love it. So as Trump and his people were starting to come by, I kind of blended right in with them.
Like his posse, his entourage?
Yes, I'm walking with Trump, and I could see my buddy, big flash. He gets the picture, and it looks just like I'm with.
He's taking it. It comes out like in a Polaroid, and he's like, Doug.
He's taking it.
We got it. We got the pic.
And he got the pic, and I'm glad he got it when he did, because like 1 minute later, Trump's security realizes I'm not part of that entourage, and they take me down. They didn't beat me up or anything, but they made it
too bad.
They made it apparent that if I did anything like that again, I wouldn't be watching the rest of that fight.
Yeah, for real, dude. You want to get like thrown out for doing something stupid like that, but that's kind of hilarious.
And here's the actual, if you guys just proof of the pudding, here's the actual picture of me as part of Donald Trump's entourage.
That's pretty sweet. It does look really, it looks like you're part of his group.
So that was a great moment for me, a fun moment.
Did you make eye contact with Trump? Did he see you and was
yeah,
like...
well, like you say, there was a little bit of a commotion when his people were starting to take me down. So that was my...
Did he just go?
It was so much fun, though. It was just so cool. Anyway, we're going to get into now the demolition of Old Vegas. We're talking about the old hotels, the Landmark, the Dunes, the Desert Inn. And it's really kind of sad because I do have some memories, and we'll talk a little bit after we take a look at these demolition of these old guard hotels.
Well, as I was going through it, I was like, this is pretty nostalgic. Or not for me, but I could see it being nostalgic for people because they were cool, like old casino buildings. Like it was just a really cool strip back then.
And the people that were there, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr.
That's what I say. That's what I mean. It looks like it was way more authentic, and now it's just so corporate, which is its own thing. I had fun still,
right,
like when I went, but it's just like it felt like you're there to be.
It's a whole different
somebody.
Vibe. Okay, we're going to start off with the Dunes. They opened their doors in 1955. And the Dunes had kind of an exotic Middle Eastern flair to it. And it was famous for its 18-hole golf course. And I was fortunate enough to have played that with my buddy Craig, shown here. And this was really very, very shortly before the Dunes said its final goodbye in 1993. Next up was the Landmark. Had a futuristic design, similar to the Stratosphere nowadays. It towered over Vegas in 1969, was when it went up. It was home to movies like Mars Attacks with Jack Nicholson, Diamonds Are Forever with Sean Connery. They all have scenes that they use from the Landmark. Yet despite its fame, it stood for less than 3 decades before it was imploded in 1995. Now, the Sands was a true hallmark of the Golden Era. It was known for the legendary Rat Pack. Everybody's heard of that. It opened in 1952. Its Copa Room was the stage for icons like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, just to name a couple. The Sands marquee lit up the sky until the echoes of its last song faded away in 1996. Now, the Hacienda was known for its family-friendly atmosphere and horseback riding. It began its watch over the Strip in 1956, and as the millennium approached, it made way for the future, lighting up the sky one last time in a big New Year's Eve spectacle in 1996. Next up, we have the Aladdin. Aladdin's lamp couldn't save the Aladdin. It opened in 1966. And this resort brought a touch of Arabian Nights to Las Vegas. Wayne Newton, everybody's heard Wayne Newton's name before, a huge attraction on the Vegas Strip. He was one of its owners for a short time. However, the magic faded, and Aladdin's wish for a new beginning was granted through a cloud of dust in 1998. The Desert Inn. It was an oasis of luxury. It welcomed the world's elite since 1950. Hosting golf tournaments and celebrities, it was a cornerstone of Old Vegas glam. Yet even this grand dame had to make a final curtain call to make room for the new back in 2001. Finally, spotlight on the Stardust. The Stardust, a name synonymous with vintage Vegas. Its neon signs a beacon since 1958. Home to the Lido de Paris and the legendary Sportsbook. It inspired dreams of glittering nights until the stars finally dimmed and was imploded back in 2007. So pretty cool, but pretty sad too. especially because I really do have some fond memories of that old Vegas, especially after the initial debacle where I lost my whole $400 in an hour and a half. I would go on to visit Vegas quite a bit. And I remember it was like 1986, 1987. And I'll back up just a little bit. I used to hang out with a lot of the comedians that were the comedians in the Twin Cities as far as getting that whole comedic movement going.
Like Louie
Anderson, Jeff Cesario, Alex Cole, Wild Bill Bauer, Scott Hansen.
Tom Arnold wasn't from here, was he?
What's that?
Tom Arnold? I know
Tom Arnold.
Was he from
actually
here,
was
though?
from Iowa or something, but he was around at that time.
Yeah, he hung out with
Jeff
that group.
Gerbino. But I used to play cards with those guys. I used to play cards. They'd get done with their shows, and it would be like midnight, and we'd start playing card Friday or Saturday nights.
Wasn't there some story where Louie had your back?
Oh, just I remember one night some new guy questioned if I had put in my ante, and Louie said, "He always puts in. You don't have to question him."
That's actually a pretty good impression.
I thought that was so cool. And then the other thing, too, I'll never forget, one night I won $100 off of Louie, and he had to write me out a check. And I just wish I would have kept that check. But at the time, $100 was like $2,000 to me.
Probably took it, went to Vegas.
Probably took it, went to Vegas.
Wasted it.
But I went to Vegas one time with my dad, and I think it was, like I say, around 86, 87. I went with my dad, and we had just a great time, and we were staying at the Dunes. And I remember seeing that Louie, he was starting to make it big. He was in the movie Coming to America and all this other stuff, and he was starting to headline Las Vegas. And he was at the Desert Inn. And I remember seeing the marquee, Louie Anderson. So I thought, what the heck? I hadn't talked to him about a year. But I called the Desert Inn and I asked for Louie, and they go, "Oh, no, we can't give you a Louie, but you can leave a message." And I thought, well, will you just let him know that Doug Solom is in town and hope he does well. And then I went down to the casino. My dad stayed and was taking a nap upstairs. So when I came back upstairs, my dad said, "Louie called." And I went, wow, dang it, I missed him. And he goes, "He's got us front row seats to tonight's show." And I just thought that was the coolest thing. So that night we went to Louie's show. He acknowledged us in the audience,
Really?
Hometown people, which was just so sweet. And that's the type of guy he was. And then I just remember the opening act was Suzanne Summers, the Thigh Master gal. That she was quite the singer and dancer too. But her big product that she used to sell, you didn't know, she had what was called the Thigh Master.
Who's Three's Company?
That's her too.
Okay, that's what I
she
thought.
just passed recently,
Well,
not too long
Yeah,
ago.
people don't know too. Rest in peace, Louie Anderson.
Yeah,
That was a few
Louie
years back.
too.
I don't know if people know that, but
Louie
had a lot of success too. He won like an Emmy. What was that show? Baskets or something?
Baskets. He won the Emmy where he played a female character.
That wasn't even that long ago. That was like within like 5 years
really
ago.
sad that he passed. But I just remember, like I say, him appearing at the Desert Inn and being just a super nice guy to me.
And then wasn't he right before he died? Wasn't he performing at the Flamingo? He was at the Flamingo at some point.
I think it was the Palace Station.
I thought it was
he
Flamingo.
had his own stage. It was the casino that was right across from the Fremont. What's the big thing downtown? The Fremont Street. Fremont.
Yeah, Fremont.
Yeah, he was in the hotel right across the street for a number of years.
Golden Nugget?
No, I think it was called Palace Station or something.
Oh, I don't know. I could have swore he was at the Flamingo for something, but maybe not.
And he played all around, so he could have well played there as well. My other story, the last one that I'll put out there, I had another friend, Alex Cole, Twin City comedian, who was doing quite well at the time, and he was, excuse me, he was asked to be the opening act a lot of times at the Desert Inn. So he would be the opening act for all sorts of guys. I remember he would always be able to take a +1 when he went out there to perform and be the opening act. And I was a lot of times his +1. And it was the coolest thing because we'd get there and up on the billboard, the marquee was, in this particular time, it was the Gatlin Brothers with Alex Cole. And his font was the same size as the Gatlin brothers.
That's pretty
And what
sweet.
was really neat is they would put us up in a huge suite, 2-bedroom suite. All the booze was in baskets and free food. Everything was comped to him. And I remember when we opened up the curtains, that's right where the marquee was. So you could see Alex's name just huge right outside the window. But I remember we were there for like a week, and he had a day off. And I remember we drank. This was back when I was still drinking. You can see why I probably good that I did quit drinking, because we drank everything in sight, and everything was comped. And we ate at the buffet, and we were just so stuffed and so bloated that we decided, hey, we should go golfing. And the Desert Inn had just a great golf course. So we decided that we were going to go golfing. And we got down to the pro shop, and like I say, he was getting everything comped. And I just remember that our clothes were just so tight on us that he got us comped each a pair of sweats. And we put the sweat, it was a sweatsuit.
On the golf course?
Yeah, in the pro shop, they gave us.
And you could wear that?
Yeah, we could wear that. It was just like in Donnie Brasco, the sweatsuit that Al Pacino, he's a mobster, and it looked just like the sweatsuit that Al Pacino wore in Danny Brasco. But that was, like I say, a wonderful time. Well, let's talk about, we finally get there, your bachelor party.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I heard it was epic.
It was pretty epic. It was kind of like the Hangover in real life. It wasn't that crazy, but we flew.
How many guys went out there?
Like 14.
Really?
Yeah. So it was like, I think it was 14. But yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know if I can name all of them. I'll probably forget somebody.
It was a lot of guys.
It was a lot
and
of guys.
You stayed at Paris?
Yeah, we stayed at Paris. Paris is a really nice hotel.
I've never been there.
It's kind of like right in the middle of the strip. So it's perfect because you can go like to the left, you can go to the right, and you're kind of like right in the middle of everything. We usually stay down by Treasure Island, which is on the way end, over by the Wynn and Encore. So if like you're gonna walk towards MGM, it's like 40 minutes. This is kind of like 15 minutes each way. And people are like, the perception is like all the casinos are really close, but they're so big that you find yourself walking for like a half hour.
Well, don't they have like little trams or skyway type thing that will
you can walk
move you
through,
from one to the other?
You can walk through some of the casinos, but there's escalators.
Right.
Some escalators. Every time we go, they're broken down. So.
Huh.
But yeah, we flew in there on, I guess it was it last week? It was going on a week and a half now. And flew in on Wednesday, stayed till Sunday.
Is that long enough? Short? You wish it was
I think it's perfect. I think as we get older, we're getting more tired. But like we got in there Wednesday night and we left.
So old.
Yeah, got in there Wednesday night, left Sunday morning. So we had 3 full days there. And we were able to buy this all access pass to all the different nightclubs and stuff like that. We got it for like $100. And you get into every nightclub, all the big DJs, different things like that. And usually if you don't get that all access pass, you're paying like $140 a club.
I saw one of the guys from Jersey
Yeah,
Shore. Isn't he? I know he's
D.
a DJ.
Paulie D.
Paulie D.
Yeah,
Did you see him?
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
And
He's
was
good. He was pretty good. He was pretty good.
Did he talk much or just spin the wax?
At that point, I don't really remember. He gets on late, too. Like, we get in there. I think we got in there probably around 10, and I don't think he comes on until like 12:30 to 1.
Is he the one that went to prison for tax evasion?
No, I think that was that Mike guy, the Situation. Okay. But we did that, and yeah, he did a pretty good job, pretty good transitions, different things like that. And then I think on Friday or Thursday, we went to the Sphere. So if people aren't familiar, there's that new Sphere. It's like a big globe, and they can light it up, and it has all these digital boards on it. They're actually not digital boards; they're just like big LED, like single lights. And
inside
on the outside, it's all lit up, and then you go on the inside, and it's made for like concerts. It'd be awesome to watch a movie there because it's like if you've been to the Omni Theater in Minnesota, it's like that on steroids. I don't know how many people.
Is it like 360? I mean, is it
close? It goes 3/4 of the way,
right?
And it's like 15,000 seats, so it's like the size of Target Center, like the Timberwolves. And we just went there for like the the Sphere experience. So they did like a tutorial video and just kind of showed the different things they can do with it and the different. They blow wind at you, so it's this kind of like 4D, 3D experience thing.
And how long was that little?
That was like an hour. You get in there too like a half hour before, and then you can check out. They have these like AI robots. I forget their names, but they're like the legit ones that you see on TV, and they talk to you. So it's kind of like very futuristic when you walk in. They have like little different things and different things with audio that like plays tricks on your mind and different things like that. So,
really?
Yeah. I would say like...
Do you know what that cost by any chance? I know it was a lot of money.
To just go to the Sphere?
No, what the Sphere costs to...
I don't know, but
build.
it costs... I heard it costs like $450,000 to $500,000 to run an ad on it each day. Like if you want to advertise on it, it's like $500,000.
Really? Well, they got to make their money back somewhere.
It's got to be... I think I saw a thing too where they're losing hundreds of thousands a day.
Really?
Yeah. They just... Like I say, U2 opened it up, and if you've seen the video, their concert looks pretty cool that they did in there because they can just do so much stuff.
Is it meant to be primarily a concert venue or just...
It's for everything.
Anything.
I mean, I think they're just like figuring out what they can use it for. I mean, you could do shows in there. You could do Cirque du Soleil shows. There's just so much you can do with it. Like as far as for me, seeing that show, the Sphere experience, that was cool, but I wouldn't do it again. I'd love to go see a different show.
Right.
Like I don't need to watch the same thing in there twice.
Right.
But... And then I guess the next day, Friday, Ryan and Jeff flew out too. And we went golfing. So we went golfing, I think, in Boulder Creek City. That was a nice little golf course. But I was like, at that point, I was up till 5 a.m.
They told me you were running on empty.
Yeah, it was like 5 a.m. Vegas time. So like Minnesota time, it'd be like 7 in the morning. That's how late I was up till. I was almost up till like 5 to 7 every single day. So I was just exhausted. And then it's one of those things too where you wake up and you actually feel good because you're still a little drunk.
Right.
And it's like the hangover doesn't hit you till about 10 a.m. So that's where I was at. But I was still able to shoot like an 83, and I beat Jeff and Ryan.
Yeah.
So that felt good because I was just like, Jeff's like, you're not saying a word out here, man. Like blah, blah, blah. Because I was just nauseous. And I golfed with Eric too. That was great having Eric with.
Eric is my son-in-law.
Yeah, Eric was he fit in really well with my group. So
he's a good guy.
And then we did the Mad Apple show. That's like their new big Cirque du Soleil show in Vegas, which I liked a lot because I remember going to the old Cirque du Soleil with you, and it's more artsy. And
why do they call it Mad Apple? What's
I think it's based
show?
on like it's at New York. So Mad Apple, Big Apple, New York.
Right.
But it was cool. It was just like different acts, and it was more modern music, different things like that. But that was I really enjoyed that. And then we did, what else did we do? Everything's like a blur. And then we did a big show at Omnia. They have this DJ called...
What's Omnia?
It's like a big nightclub, like the biggest nightclub across from Caesars. And they had DJ Nightmare there, and we actually bought a booth. It cost like $1,500 to get the booth, and that's just for the bottles that you have to buy. You're required to buy like a minimum. So we bought 2 bottles for like $1,500, and that was split up between, I don't know, like 10 people. So it wasn't too bad. But
well, Jeff told me that he went to poolside at Paris,
the Bloody Mary,
and got a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, for $40.
It was $40 plus the tip. So it almost was $50
like, what the heck?
for a crummy Bloody Mary.
Yeah,
he said it wasn't
like,
even that good. He said it had a lemon lime and a pickle in it.
Yeah, they probably just like poured a V8 and then some vodka in there, and they're like, here's $40.
It's just a crazy world.
Yeah, I think most of the drinks I got were $25 to $30 for a cocktail. If I just got like a rum and Coke or something like that. So.
Did you do any gambling?
I always do a little bit. I put.
Do they still come around and give you the free booze if you're?
I don't think. I think if you're on a slot, I don't know if they do it if you're on a slot. Definitely, if you're at the bar and you're playing like video poker, they do that. You have to play like so long, and then you get your free drinks. There's a little green light that comes on.
Oh, really?
But the gambling I like to do now, like I just threw down $50 at the sports book on the Timberwolves to win the Western Conference.
Sports,
which shout out T Wolves doing good, 2-0 against Phoenix. Naz Reid just got 6th Man of the Year, so Timberwolves are actually maybe the best team in Minnesota now, as far as what we got. So
and Timberwolves have always been. You've always followed the Timberwolves since you were a little kid.
Yeah,
and it's just nice that they're. I mean, you really haven't seen anything like this since probably Garnett, Sprewell, and Cassell.
Yeah,
and
since
that really didn't go anywhere.
It kind of did.
Was it Cassell that got injured, and it was just
Cassell got injured. Troy Hudson came in, but we couldn't beat the Lakers. I think we lost 4-2 in the series.
Right.
To go to the championship. So that was for the Western Conference, and we lost in the Western Conference.
But this has to be an exciting time.
And like I say, my bet is on the Timberwolves to win the Western Conference. So
and what does that pay? Does it pay much?
I'd make $500.
Oh, you would?
Yeah, on 50.
So how many more teams do they have to beat to win the conference?
They got to win this series.
Yep.
They got to win the next series, and they got to win one more. So they got to win 3 series in a row.
Wow. Well,
and they've never done it, so it'd be tough.
This could be the team that does it.
But we'll see.
They're looking pretty good against Phoenix.
Yeah, they look really good. They got a whole team. I mean, like Edwards wasn't a factor in that game, and Towns was out most of the game, and we still won by almost 15. So
anything else about Vegas?
Just, I really do enjoy Vegas. If you got a motor on you and you can handle Vegas, I think it's, you go there every year.
If you got a motor on you.
Well, just like if you don't get too exhausted, if you can keep running on alcohol.
We've got our good friends Patty and Mike who live out there. Were you able to?
No, I didn't see them. We just didn't cross paths. There was close. One time we were at New York, but they were at the Wild game. The Wild were playing the Vegas Knights, and we were at Mad Apple at New York, but we just didn't cross paths.
Because Nick, who gave you this, and Alex were in town, right?
Yeah, Alex and Nick were both there, but I just I didn't run across them. So
Ryan and Jeff
saw them the one day doing golf, and
they
went golfing at Mike and Patty's too. They did that
because they live on.
They said the course that Mike and Patty are on, where they have a membership,
course.
was like amazing. And Jeff sent me the pictures. I think I got pictures here.
Yeah,
but
pretty cool.
Yeah, you hit it over canyons, like you hit the ball over canyons and stuff. It was beautiful.
What I need.
Yeah, you'd like the Boulder Creek one though. The Boulder Creek City, that was like a Majestic Oaks Crossroads kind of a thing.
Right. Get a lot of roll on your ball.
Yeah, but I love Vegas. Like I say, every time you go there, there's something new. Vegas is the one place where they keep building. They keep making things better. That's what I like about it. It's kind of American that way,
Neat.
Always trying to get better. Always trying to make the next cool thing. So you're always seeing the state-of-the-art technology stuff going on there.
Sounds like a great place for your bachelor party.
Yeah, it was a lot. And then I got sick for like a week right after I got home.
Right. And that's why we've been on a little hiatus.
Yeah, that's why we're probably a week late. I was
you healthy again.
Pure exhaustion after that trip. But it was really good. Had fun with all my buddies. And we kind of do that, like I say, too. Every time a guy gets married, we go to Vegas. And, once a year is enough.
So that's our Vegas special. Not much more to talk about other than we'll just get in. We always like to just do a quick little thing on Bitcoin.
Yeah, the halving just happened.
The halving. Now, is that supposed to make that's where it decreased the number of
the supply of Bitcoin that gets put into circulation through mining gets cut in half. So the supply gets cut in half.
And that supposedly will make the price.
As long as the demand for Bitcoin stays the same and the supply cuts in half, then the price usually goes up. So it's a big thing that happens every 4 years, and it's just the inflation rate just cuts in half every 4 years. So it was 2%, now it's down to like it was just over 1%, now it's under like 1% inflation rate. And then the next time it'll be 0.5% inflation rate, and it just keeps decreasing by half every single time.
And something that's kind of cool is, and I don't know, is it in the frame? Are we?
Yeah, I think it's
Stu,
in
is this? Can you get a shot of this?
Yeah, he's giving us a head nod.
This is a book that came that you ordered from. It's like the Bible for Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's a really big book.
And what's the guy's name?
Saifedean Ammous.
And you got a first edition, and it's signed.
Yeah, he like I say, I contacted him on Twitter, hit me up by email, and we've been conversating, and he sent it out and signed it, first edition, Bitcoin standard.
The Bitcoin standard.
Yeah, so I got to hang that up too. Got to get all of our interests up on the wall.
That's pretty
right next
neat.
to the Garnett jersey. So that's a great book too. So if anyone's into Bitcoin at all, or just like wants to know the history of money, I'd say just don't even worry about the Bitcoin part of it. Like that book is so interesting, and you just learn a lot about how money comes to be and why like gold was picked in the first place. A lot of people don't even know why we picked gold, but that's a good place to start. So
there you have it. that is our special Vegas edition of the Curious Crossroads show. We will look forward to seeing you for our next show. Until then, have a great day and
have a good life.
Have a good life.